I started streaming it. It crashed out.
Oops.
I'll just do full screen capture. All right. So, last time on A Crown of Cold Iron, you all were trying to make some real headway on dealing with the minions of the Kate Sea. You had been invited, strongly invited, to visit the embassy of the Parliament of the Fae to the human realm. An invitation extended to you by the Lady Bryn, the deputy ambassador herself. On your way there, you were attacked by what you can safely assume are probably minions of the Kate Sea. Two large, invisible felines that fully attacked you in broad daylight. Something they were uniquely suited to because at least one of them was invisible in natural daylight. So it was an issue. You all managed to fend them off, wounding one of them pretty badly, and you held them off until the guards from the embassy arrived and escorted you to the offices of Lady Bryn. You had some time to examine the embassy itself, some of its unique features as both a literal magical overlap space between fairy and the human world, but also a cultural overlap space. In the midst of this, you were finally invited back to actually speak with Bryn herself. And she relayed to you all some concerns, some questions she's had. You all have rapidly moved from significant but small players on the periphery of Fey issues in Queensboro, and in very short order have become significant players, really getting involved in things that are dramatically reshaping the landscape of power between not just humans and Fey, but also apparently angels and demons and dragons and other forces that few are even aware are active in the city. In the process of your conversation, you did gather that Bryn is also concerned about the Kate Sea, and, as you call it, the Big Cat, or the Unseen Stalker, and their influence on current events. And so she said that she was going to put as many resources as she could towards finding information for you without drawing the attention of her own superiors. You returned the moon-touched rapier, a sort of heirloom and weapon of honor of a Fey knight that you found beneath the Raven Palace. And you ended with a sort of troubling. Well, it's hard to say what it was. You discovered that Lady Bryn had her memory sealed with what appeared to be Seelie magic, very powerful Seelie magic, considering that she herself is very high in the hierarchy. Tampering with it unlocked a memory of a strange human figure seemingly smiting the Kate Sea off of this plane of existence before sealing the memory away. So I believe we picked up with you all exiting from the embassy, and now you need to decide next steps. It's a lot going on.
Yeah.
I feel like this is above my pay grade.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't really get any answers from her on how to stop
Well, we
The
didn't get
lawyers.
answers from her. We got, I guess we could call it a hint from the vision. Do we need to track down whoever that guy was? If so, how?
How?
Yeah.
I'm gonna give. Actually, I'll give all three of you a shot at this. Each of you make a history check, and each of you is making it for a different thing, and we'll see which ones come up.
All right.
23.
16.
22.
All right.
Much better dice rolls than last game.
All right, yeah, that was harsh.
Yeah.
You all were real single digits the first hour or so.
I almost landed on 3 on this one, though.
You got lucky.
So with those rolls, Lexi, seeing Leon reminded you of something. A while back, Leon was just kind of reaching out. You've been kind of busy with this, and you've not even been making sort of token appearances at some of the sort of underground fighting that happens in Queensboro.
Right.
And one of the things he sort of passed on to you was a weird rumor about a mysterious fighter who has been showing up and just absolutely cleaning house against all comers. And when you first heard it, it didn't feel very significant. Mysterious figures, whatever. But as you think about it, you don't remember the exact words, but something about the way he described it, especially sort of the mysterious comings and goings, it feels connected somehow to all of this. Cyrus, this one's much easier. Just a couple of hours ago, let me make sure I have the effect correct. Yes, just a couple of hours ago, you managed to hit one of these invisible feline fae with both blades of ill omen. One of the effects of that is that if they fail the saving throw, you know the distance and direction they are from you until dawn.
All right.
So in the back of your head, you feel it's very peculiar. It's not just like a sense of oh, they're this way. You almost have a little mental snapshot of a single raven that is circling over a warehouse in a different part of the city. Auric, it doesn't immediately advance any of your sort of cat-related issues as far as you know, but you do know that Lambton has said that there is an agent of Lord Taurus somewhere in the city, and you do have an image of her. Lady Bryn wasn't necessarily able to get you anything on her, but she's only one of many avenues of information that you can access.
Right.
So that gives you sort of 3 threads to run down. You should almost definitely assume that if you try to immediately follow up on the invisible cats, that will be a substantial fight. Not necessarily one that you can't win, but it will definitely be a fight.
I forget. Did I show Cyrus the? I mean, I'm sure I shared as much as possible. I forgot that I had the image in the letter.
I'm on mute. A sort of slightly grainy surveillance shot of a young blonde woman, not too dissimilar in sort of vague terms from Lady Bryn. But you know that this figure is somewhere in town. And Auric, with your role, you do have one advantage here. You've been in the city for maybe 6 months now. You remember being brand new and having no idea how anything in the city worked. This might help you figure out how to locate this person.
Mm-hmm.
Steve.
Do you want to send him a call or send him a text message or make a call?
Yeah, I just got to figure out how to word it.
Is Lord Taurus's agent is Fae human? Unsure.
I think specifically it was implied that she is Fae.
Okay.
Because that was part of the letter, was that he had successfully managed to get her into the city. The letter says, an old rival of mine, Lord Taurus, seems to have clandestinely inserted one of his most powerful agents into the human city. I believe that she is somehow involved in a scheme to traffic humans into Fairy.
Honestly, that sounds like something we could hear more about at the Fight Club, Underground Fight Club.
You think so?
I think that they're the ones that have their noses to the ground and hear that kind of stuff.
True.
Not saying that like they get in on that, but it's an underground club. Trafficking is usually underground. Like,
true. I will pop off a quick text to Steve asking if he has any information on recent arrivals that seem more out of place than usual.
So, and if it's all right with Auric, Cyrus will pop it over to Jace as well and see if he can track her on cam footage.
Yeah,
I can put gimbal on it too, but he doesn't work via cell phone.
Right.
You need wood chips and a cup of spoiled yogurt and a windowsill and the fresh corpse of a raccoon.
Yeah.
Oh, is that all?
It's not that different from a cell phone.
And a gold marker too. Can Cyrus put the warehouse can he put that on a map?
Yeah, you'd pretty easily be able to sort of drop a pin on that.
Okay.
And that'll at least give you somewhere to follow up even after the sense fades.
Yeah. And I was wondering too about trying to do any research into, I mean, it's probably a shell of a shell of a shell, but who owns it, where any ownership or payment or information like that tracks back to see if we could, I don't know, tag it to one of the lawyer offices or something to give us a better sense of which one of those might be worth checking on.
All right. Lexi, is there anything you want to sort of find out in service of learning more about one of these fight rings?
Yeah, I'll trying to think of making up characters on the fly here. Text another buddy of mine who would know, who I know is still active and still on the scene to kind of get a second opinion. I can be real cliche and call them Tyler. Just be real cliche.
Well, and I think we could kind of lean in.
Does Tyler make soap?
I have to say it's in an abandoned soap factory. I definitely had IMDb open a few minutes ago.
I think it would make sense if Lexi probably knows a couple of people who honestly are sort of different iterations of Lexi. People who probably served as like MPs in the military, came back, have done, bouncers, security, that kind of stuff. And some of them, moonlight doing this. And I think it'd be fair for Tyler to be one of those folks, maybe one of the rowdier folks, maybe someone who like got out just ahead of a dishonorable discharge. Not for any like one like really bad thing, just so many minor infractions.
They were so done with him.
Yeah, over
they
and
were
over.
not
and
sad
over.
to see him go.
I'm thinking maybe he served with you. We were just talking about how, you had maybe been like an embassy gate guard somewhere, and maybe one night he took one of the ambassadors, like young adult kids, out to like a fight ring somewhere and brought them back with like a broken nose and like a bloody face. And they got quickly rotated off of that duty.
But that kid had the time of his life.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Kid loved him. Parents, not so much.
The kid now does like MMA or something. Like he's a professional.
So I should write some of this stuff down. Tyler,
I'm making notes too.
friend of Lexi, also vet, security work, embassy gate guard on deployment, nearly dishonorable. All right. Tyler is definitely your friend who is sort of, it's probably a toss-up between Leon and Tyler. Tyler knows more of like the mundane side of it. Leon is a little bit more on like the really crazy face stuff. But there's a lot of overlap. You're able to reach out to Tyler. Tyler's basically just like a less hairy Leon. Still hairy, just less hairy.
There's standard, there's levels, and Leon's kind of in his own class here.
Yes. Leon is literally furry. Tyler, we might say is fuzzy. So you send out a message to Tyler. It hits back almost immediately. Tyler is so excited. The next fight is going to be tomorrow night. He gives you a location. It's basically the basement underneath one of the bars in town. You'd recognize the bar. I'll let you generate a name if you would like to.
I'm gonna call it. Gosh, I feel like Norton's is a really dumb name, but there's the whole Ed Norton, Bruce Banner tie-in there that's really funny to use.
Works with me.
Norton's. People do not know what it is. They don't think it's what it actually is.
People aren't even sure if it's a restaurant or a bar or a
Because it's
jewelry
just such a weird
shop.
name.
Do I go there for appliances?
I mean, it does have multiple personalities, essentially.
What if we give it a little more of a pub vibe? What if it's Banner and Norton's?
Banner and Norton's, there we go.
That kind of feels like a little more of a London pub vibe.
Yeah.
So you've got the location, you've got the time, and honestly, you've got enough of a rep that when you walk up, you don't need what's the passphrase? Whoever is working the door is inevitably like Lexi. And
Password is I'm Lexi.
Hey,
yeah.
Hey, Norm.
Yeah, you are immediately welcomed in, no problem. Auric, you reach out to Steve. Steve sends back some solid advice, kind of echoing some of the things from your training with him. He sort of reminds you of basic things to look out for. A new fae in town it's going to be a lot like trying to find anyone else who's going to stick out. With the exception of there are some very subtle fae agents out there. You've run into a few, you've encountered more you didn't even know. But most of the time, when you put someone in a city they've never been to, they stick out. They don't know the customs, they don't know the norms. And so he recommends that you look out for things like weird police reports, that you look for sort of semi-inexplicable damages, annoyances, altercations. Also, if this person is doing something with trafficking, you can research that from the purely humanoid side and look at things like who's missing.
Yeah.
Where would you keep people who are missing? How would you get them out of the city? All of which is a good setup for Cyrus and Jace, because Jace is an expert in sifting that kind of info. So you all are able to kind of put your heads together. And Jace very quickly starts to come back with just some unusual events. A person with several misdemeanor, public disorderly and sort of harassment and someone who just kind of seems like a disreputable and irritating figure, showed up in the hospital with their arm broken. And broken not just a little bit, but the biggest, thickest bone clean broke. Just clean broken. Let's see, what else did you want to look up? Oh, you wanted stuff about the warehouse. The warehouse actually, it's really not a super intricate trail because Jace already kind of knows what he's looking for. It definitely goes back to Cawthorn, Allen, Tar, and Smith. And one thing you do have, and how useful it is a little hard to say. For sure there is an office where this Buchanan figure is. The person who's been sort of the prime, legal advocate in all of this. They do have an office that shows up on some of the paperwork that you all have had. And Jace very easily connects the warehouse back to an affiliated company. Missing people is an interesting topic because there are people going missing all the time. Just small numbers here and there. A lot of them turn up in a different city. A lot of them just go off the grid. And some just truly disappear for all of the normal, everyday human reasons. It's very hard to pick out a pattern of who is missing. It's a list of like hundreds of people seemingly from all over. Nothing immediately strikes you as like a fairy lured this person into the woods and they vanished into a circle of mushrooms. Is there anything else y'all want to do?
I don't know if I want to go tussle with the cats again immediately. I know we're back up to full, but
We were at full the first time.
Do you guys want to go to Fight Club?
I mean, they did sucker punch you, but
yeah,
it was still rough.
Yeah. I mean, we could go to Fight Club. I do not think that I would want to participate.
Oh no, we're not going to participate.
But also, if a random rough and tumble person showed up at the hospital with, an arm that not normally broken, then maybe our perp is looking for action.
And
certainly, we can. There's more to do at Fight Club than just fight.
And what's the clue with Fight Club? Who do we think Fight Club relates to?
I think it's the mysterious person who left a handprint on the Kate C.
Okay.
That is my guess.
Okay.
I'll have to go back. It's, oh my gosh, it's probably been
Somebody who's cleaning house.
It's probably been 8 or 9 months of like real time. But you did get a rumor about an unusually adept Fight Club participant. It might have been before the Solinist arc.
Okay.
All right. Are there any other preparations you would like to make?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Let's go ahead and I'll text Lieutenant Davis and fill him in on what we're investigating, just because I feel like the more eyes we have looking for these missing people, the better.
Just don't talk about the Fight Club.
I'm not talking about the Fight Club.
Nobody talks about Fight Club.
I'm just telling him that I have heard a rumor that I have not yet substantiated, and would like him to, if he has the time, to dig through some missing person reports to see if there's any common threads that might be connected to this.
Right.
And I can come by at his convenience to look at what he finds, if he finds anything.
And is that the Fight Club's same night, or we've got a day downtime?
You've got like a day of, sort of undesignated time.
Yeah.
Okay.
By which we mean a day for me to get more sweater vests.
There you go.
Maybe find a way to make one fireproof.
That would probably not be a bad idea.
I was going to say, you do have, in terms of things to follow up on, had you all made your way through all of the stuff you brought out of the Raven Palace?
Not. I don't think so. I was
No,
looking
I don't
at
think we
that.
did. Should probably sort through it.
So there's a few
I
more
don't-
of those. There's also, you all didn't come out with a ton of gold, I don't think. But of course, there is always shopping at Midsum Pawn and Fine Goods. I think Lexi especially bought hardly anything last time and is still sitting on like 2,500 gold or something crazy.
Really am. Lexi used to be broke. She was so poor she couldn't afford the O and the R. That's what we used to say in college. We were po, not poor.
So, Cyrus is at least somewhat curious about like trying to break into the Buchanan office and maybe see what they can learn. Maybe not the warehouse if we think that's an immediate fight with the cats, but I don't know if we'd be able to sneak in there or if that's going to risk silent alarms that bring the cats.
Yup.
All right, so you've got a warehouse, an office, a fight club. You have several magical items that still need resolving in various ways. The Lady Bryn did also say she wouldn't mind seeing the artifacts that you found. Specifically the ones from the incident with Alan Blake. And anything else y'all want to do?
I got nothing.
All right. Then which do you want to head to next? Do you want to go on to the fight club?
Yeah, let's Fight Club.
I might just go ahead and do a quick identify on I'm thinking Fey Flame Torch next. I think it's that and the Blood Moon Blade are the two left that we haven't dropped an identify on.
Ooh. Okay.
And I'm wondering if the torch might have anything useful. I mean, I figure the Blood Moon Blade might be useful to Lexi, but I don't know if Lexi wants to be running around with super scary sword or not.
All right.
Or do we want to keep that sword out of Lexi's hands?
Do we want Lexi to have this?
Yeah, say. Might be more of it's for everyone else's benefit that Lexi doesn't have the sword.
All right. So where do you want to examine these things?
Upstairs and lose.
Yeah, probably just back at Lou's.
All right. So you're going to use the Arcanist magnifying glass to check this
Yep.
out? All right. So you lay out the Fey Flame torch. It's a lot less creepy without an arm like fused to it. It's slightly less alarming. It's just a long wooden staff with a sort of almost organic looking. It would almost be like if bees made a lantern. So there's qualities of both a lantern, but also like a hive. And even in sort of an inert state, there's like little red-orange wisps, like fireflies, sort of buzzing in and out of it, seemingly harmlessly. So you take the Arcanist magnifying glass, you invoke the spell within, and when you hold it up and you're sort of looking through it, the spell actually like writes along the surface. It forms like a ritual circle on the surface of the glass, and you look through it, and it's not as clinical as it often is. You can tell that this is a magnitudes older item, really from a different, not quite a different school, but a different era and culture of magic. You've put together by now, the Blackthorn family has kind of professionalized magic to a certain extent. They train their apprentices in the same way so that every +1 dagger comes out mostly the same. If one of them makes a wand of magic missiles, it will work mostly the same as another. This is at least 1,500 years old, probably older. And it's of Fey make. This is an item of story and legend as much as magic. And so as you sort of look through this ritual lens, the room around you in Luz sort of drops away. And you don't feel compelled like some of the other items that you've touched. But it's almost like you're getting a glimpse into the internal world of this item. And it's a vast, dark forest. Not pitch black. Actually, the wood of the trees here looks the same as the wood of the staff. And there are, here in this space, they're much larger and much more prevalent. These huge spheres of flickering insect-like light darting in between the branches and the trees. The closest adjectives would probably be eerily beautiful, but with a healthy dose of the eerie. And slowly information starts to kind of be absorbed into you. This forest that you're seeing is where the wood was harvested. Auric can't see it, but this is a famous wood in Fairy. It's the Sapphire Wood. And he'll be able to tell you after the fact, the Sapphire Wood is very deadly. And you see glimpses, and here this sort of symbolic vision of this item blurs with the memories you saw in the Raven Palace. And you see a human village. But this human village is still standing. It's seems to be going about sort of a normal day. It's getting on towards evening, and you see a slender, hooded, humanoid figure step out from the woods and make their way up to the village. And they're not approaching by the main road. They're sort of coming in from the side where folks are a little bit less attentive. And you see them hold up this staff, and magic crackles through it. And it's like the motes of fire within the lantern start to multiply. And a huge spherical swarm of them flow out. And the colors are strange. They're blue and pink and green. And you've seen this before. It looks like the fairy fire spell. But you know that fairy fire is a harmless spell. It makes targets easier to see, easier to hit, but it's not real fire. This is real fire. As these dancing motes of light start to swerve in and out of the buildings in the village, as they brush across sort of thatch roofs, the village begins to smoke and smolder, and then it ignites. And this whole village begins to burn. And this figure brings the staff down and walks back into the woods. So here is what you are holding. This magic torch was harvested from a tree in the Sapphire Wood, one of the most beautiful and deadly fey forests. While holding the torch, you can use a bonus action to speak its first command word, causing eerie blue flames to appear above the head of the torch. The flames shed bright light in a 20-foot radius and dim light for an additional 20 feet. The flames are not extinguished when immersed in water and last until you use a bonus action to speak the command word again or until you stow the torch. You can use an action while holding the lit torch to speak its second or third command word. Speaking the second command word causes any illusion within the torch's bright light to be outlined in blue, green, or violet for 1 minute. The torch can't be used this way again until the next dawn. Speaking the third command word causes the flame to fly from the torch and erupt at a point you can see within 60 feet of you, creating an explosion of blue flames and duplicating the effect of the fairy fire spell. Reflex save DC 13, no concentration required, in a 20-foot radius sphere centered on that point. On a failed save, a creature also takes 2d6 fire damage. You can choose to end the effect early as a bonus action. When the effect ends, the flame reappears above the torch. The torch can't be used this way again until the next dawn. And I'll double check my sources. I believe this is Griffin's Saddleback. Yes, it is. So you've used your identify on that. You have not identified the Blood Moon Blade. Is there anything else you want to do with any of these items?
Suppose that we've got Blood Moon Blade, torch, the dark iron plates, and the tome in here, right?
And there's also the iron rod.
Oh yeah, the iron rod. That was the control rod, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you said that the second command word on the Fey Fire Blade reveals but does not dispel illusions?
Right.
Okay.
And I think specifically, the way I would rule that is, like, if someone's invisible, it doesn't necessarily show you an invisible person. But if someone made an illusion of a person, it would show you the illusion was fake. it does not require attunement.
Nice, so we can just pass it around.
Do we want to take that one with us?
Yeah, I mean, it seems less potentially harmful to the user than some of the other stuff we have.
You also get the impression some of these items were very dangerous. Just across the board, always going to be dangerous. Unless something changes. Some of these items were only dangerous because the people who found them had no resistance whatsoever. So, like, if you were to hand the Fey Flame Torch to a random person on the street, you might get another flaming wood monster. If you were to hand Shifra's dagger to a child, you might get a horrifying miniature doppelganger. But for you all, those are not substantial enough to break through your defenses.
Ironically,
I'm pretty sure Cyrus is carrying the dagger now.
Yeah, I was double checking. You've got it in your inventory.
Yeah.
Ironically, now that we've actually identified the book, I am less concerned about it than I used to be, and that's coming from the person who nearly got sucked into it.
I don't think we've actually cast identify on the book yet. I think I've just done the what's the other one? I can make a check to try to discern some of the properties.
Well, it's also maybe even a little worse than that, because it wasn't just that you discerned them under your own power, but that you started examining it and the book started telling you what it did.
Right. I have no interest in what it told us it did, but I feel like that actually makes it less powerful over me, because it's like, no, I don't want that.
Yeah, fair.
Instant free level in Warlock.
Yeah, but that's, Warlock has, chains attached. I mean, as a Fae, I kind of already have those metaphysical chains attached.
I was going to say, that functionally would not necessarily be much of a difference for you.
I don't need two different patrons fighting over me.
But you could also eventually develop resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage from attacks that are neither magical nor iron.
Oh.
You might get the ability to cast Misty Step at will.
Oh.
I don't think we knew about that one.
Give it to one of the... No. I was going to say give it to the barback. You can Misty Step into the kitchen.
You come back and Caleb is now like a level 6 warlock.
Dangerous.
All right,
I
so
feel
we'll add
like
that to
blues would... Oh, sorry.
I was just saying, we'll add that to the list of identify the Blood Moon Blade and
Actually
identifying the
identify...
book.
Yeah. I feel like blues would not allow Caleb to get that high level with a Fey Pact.
And you also do have the Iron Rod itself, which is a separate item.
Right.
All right. Yeah. I keep forgetting we could.
I have made a lot of magic items for this world.
And I have quite a few of them.
Yeah. Okay, so you identified another item.
Yep. I'm going to hand that off to Auric, I think.
All right.
I'll drop it in your inventory.
I mean, I guess that makes sense because I don't have dark vision, and so it's either me or Lexi.
Yeah.
Well, and Lexi creates her own light.
Yeah. I can
Lexi
create my own
doesn't really
light too.
need dark
It just,
vision.
burns things.
I was going to say, you can create fire, which is similar.
Very similar, but not quite the same thing.
I create light. It just burns the house down.
And there's the advantage of, sorcerer, you get to you could be sneaky and use the staff and still cast a spell. So your bonus action economy is a little more open.
Yeah.
Where
I have
8 different things I want to use my bonus action on every round.
right. Right now, my only bonus action is if I use sorcery points.
Yeah. I've definitely learned while mechanically the hex blood is a lot of fun. Next time if I'm using it again, I'm putting it on not a rogue because the rogue wants to bonus action so much. There's not a lot of time left for bonus action cast hex.
That's always the difficulty with trying to get the most out of Hexblade too, is that you want to stack up a bunch of attacks and then have Hex and Hexblade's Curse. But that's 2 bonus actions right out of the gate to get up to full speed. And if combat's only going to last 3 rounds, there might be better things to do with that bonus action.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else?
No.
You just drop a note to Gimbal. Might as well.
Get your raccoon ready.
All right. So do you all go off to your...
I've got this bag of 20. We found this bag of 20 old gold marks.
Yeah.
Down in the Raven Palace that I have earmarked for Gimbal funds.
He'll be quite excited about that.
So I think we'll ask him about see if he can track Taurus's agent as well.
Only other thing I could think of is maybe going to B and seeing if he's got any more healing potions, because I used up quite a few of them.
Yep, you can stop by.
Just a quick visit for healing potions, if he has any.
Let's see what he's packing. So you fully bought him out last time, right?
I think we did, yes.
Yeah.
Roll... You've only been gone a week. We'll say roll 1d4 plus 1, and that'll be the number of regular potions of healing. If you roll a 4, he also has a greater potion of healing.
I got a 2, so 3.
All right. He has 3 available at 50 GP each.
You're going to have to start ordering these in bulk, man.
I can only get in so many at a time, There's only so many alchemists, so many suppliers, so many herbs. And, I got to drink the hugs first before we get it in there. So, I can't be drinking these all day. I got that type 2.
Hire a kid, make it an after-school program.
It's not a bad idea. I'll pay him in hugs. But, not in a weird way. Hugs.
All right, so that's 150 to get those 3.
As you're
How much
talking,
money you got?
B is just absentmindedly
got?
scratching his 2-inch thick gray chest hair over the top of his tank top. So, what are you guys even doing to get hurt this much?
Fight Club.
We don't talk about it. You do know that I'm dating Vela Blackthorn, right?
And what are you coming to me for potions for?
No, I'm just explaining how I need these potions.
Oh, okay. Wow. No, that's too much information. Whatever you get up to in the privacy of your own, that's totally up to you.
No. Demonstrations for the students. Get your head out of the gutter.
In
Lex
front of the
is just back at the
students?
corner cackling.
Ah,
No, out of the gutter, not more into it.
come on, man. This is the human realm. You know, you gotta have some standards. Jeez.
I don't know if humans even work like that. You've been here longer than I have. Do humans work like that?
It sounds like you don't know an awful lot about how humans work. I'm just saying.
I'm Dragonborn. You know we do things different.
You especially, I'm hearing.
Forget it. I'm out of here before you drag me any further into the gutter.
Yeah. Listen, just keep your blood on the inside, all right?
I'm trying.
I'm trying.
I'm looking to see anything that he has had in the past. He still has. If there are items you were thinking of.
I cannot even remember what he has.
And I was literally just looking for potions. Because I think
I shared a list at some point.
Yeah,
you
I
did.
have to find it. It's probably my email.
I'm pretty sure we used like 5 or 6 potions in the dungeon.
Yeah, probably.
There is one item, Lexi, that catches your eye, but the price tag is astronomical.
Oh, sad day.
It
Has
just
to be
looks
just for
like a plain leather belt. But of course, everything in here is underneath this sort of illusory cover. And when you grab it, it's actually the real texture of it is like furry and a little damp. But once you get past that,
Like made out of selkie or however you say that.
well, you're not sure what kind of fur it is, but it smells like a really nice. And actually, each of you kind of it smells a little bit different. Whatever beer Lexi is most sort of craving in that moment, that's what it smells like. Like a
All right.
perfect temperature, perfect pour. And
How much is this? You said astronomical, but how much is astronomical?
Is this a beer sol pelt belt?
so now sort of all three of you are staring at this belt, and B walks over and goes, "Oh yeah, you got an eye for the good stuff, eh? These little guys came in here a couple weeks ago, said they needed some funds to replace some brewing equipment, I guess. They put this up for pawn. Hey, it's pretty nice, huh?
What's it made out of?
I've learned not to ask questions like that too much.
Do you know what it does?
Poke.
So just by holding it, you sense, you can almost hear the sort of deeply accented laugh of Vertisnicken as you hold this, and you can tell this is a genuine relic of Vertisnicken and the Beersall kobolds, and it is definitely radiating power. It's also listed at 7,500 gold.
Store credit.
Lot of
Store
money.
credit.
A lot of money. Can I pay it in like installments? Put it on layaway.
I've gotten burned on layaway 1, 2 many times, but
That's fair.
you know, if you find some interesting stuff, I could take some of it on trade.
Okay.
Uh,
Cannot remember what I have, so I don't know what I can do.
I mean, he's not going to want my broken ring, so.
No, he's not gonna watch your broken ring. Sorry.
I closed the window I needed to look at.
No, no.
I don't know if you'd be interested in any of our the smoldering chainmail, the dread helm, the shirt that stays clean, or the cloak of billowing.
My hero outfit?
Yes.
Well, I guess we have these.
Make a persuasion check. We'll call this with advantage.
Which one of us?
Cyrus was the one who suggested it, so you're the one who'll make it.
Okay.
And the 8 other action just gives advantage, and he's already got advantage, right?
Yeah. And he rolled pretty well.
Yeah. No, 20.
All right. So you guys have been good customers. And I want to respect that bond. You know, any bond between people who give me money and me. So yeah, like these are alright. But I can tell that these are pretty old. Now, me, I don't care so much about stuff that's old. It does what it does. But, if you found the right, historically minded buyer, you might, get a little more for this than just, pawning it off here.
There's a museum in town, right?
Yeah.
Cyrus, you would remember, your mother has actually been working with an archivist at the university, helping put together a historical artifact or historical display on the Fae. Auric, you also know, in addition to the prestidigitation charm that you transcribed, this might also be the kind of thing that the Blackthorns would be interested in, especially because these are Blackthorn items.
That's a good point.
So basically, he could give you 150 for each one now, or you could potentially get more than that from specialized buyers.
Yeah, let's see what we can get from specialized buyers.
I mean, 150 each isn't going to get us anywhere near the price of that belt.
No.
Out of curiosity, are you carrying any of the cursed items on you? Or did you put all of those in the safe?
I think we put those in the
I think we
safe.
stashed all this.
Yeah.
It occurs to me that we're putting a whole lot of cursed items into one place. They might be... I don't think they'll interact, but...
Yeah.
We might want to start... If we're going to be collecting cursed items, we might want to start looking into, multiple storage locations.
And, that is something that you all could do. Oh, that's super weird. Sorry. I was trying to find tokens for a crowd shot, and there is a token of a generic shirtless man carrying what appears to be a crucifix. So that's a weird vibe.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, very distracting. Yes, so upgrading lose is something that you all could potentially do. Lose has sort of a framework for magic that's very strong. And I mean, right off the top of your head, Vela would certainly be someone who could put you in touch with someone who can do kind of enchanting-y type things. But there might also be folks that Bryn could put you in contact with, or other folks you have not encountered yet. I feel like I left out a word on there. You can upgrade lose. If there are things that you would like lose to be able to do, this would be another place you can invest gold.
Okay.
Yeah, if we're going to start being just collectors and keepers of cursed items, that's probably not a bad idea.
Yeah.
Have several small safes, and each cursed item goes in its own.
Well, and you've also, you know for sure, there are physical repairs that could add to what lose can do. Just in terms of like, there's some blocked off hallways and things that could be sort of refurbished. But all of you have kind of gathered by now that lose is capable of a lot. And it kind of sounds like maybe at various points it was capable of even more. And you might be able to renew that magic with some specialized assistance. All right, you got some items. Are y'all going to take a rest?
Do we need to?
I mean,
Sorry,
yeah.
I phrased that wrong. So you're the day before the fight.
Right.
So is there anything else you want to do today? Or do you want to just go to bed and we'll fast forward?
Fast forward sounds good.
Yep.
All right.
I'll be right back. I'm gonna grab a snack.
No worries. So we will hit up Auric first. I know we're not sort of in full downtime mode, but you had mentioned wanting to kind of fill in the gaps of some of the spend time with Vela aspect of the relationship. So this might be an opportunity to just kind of, hang out, catch her up, reassure her that you're not dead.
Yep. Spend the day hanging out with her, end up being a target dummy for one of her classes.
Sounds like a normal day. The life of Ark.
We've got a weird relationship, but it works.
Okay, that's what matters.
Out of curiosity, have you explained to her? No, this is probably the first time you've interacted with her since the Raven Palace, right?
Yes, it is. So that actually does remind me.
Oh man,
Yeah.
so many things to tell her.
Yeah, she notices immediately that you are not wearing your ring of seeming.
Yeah. I was going to say first, I'll probably show up in dragon form, and at the first opportunity where we have like a little alone time, I'll be like, "Hey, so this was kind of weird," and then change into human form.
Yeah, she immediately is like, just stunned by this, and just rattles off like 200 very technical magical questions all at once. which some of which you can answer, some of which are like way beyond your understanding of what's going on. Do you want to go ahead and share anything in particular with her other than this?
I think it might be related to this tattoo.
Oh, that's new.
Yeah, it is.
She
A
like
door gave it to me.
I was gonna say, please let her know that it was not a drunk decision.
I can't promise that I was not intoxicated, but a door gave it to me.
she like pokes it a couple times and then does some kind of gesture, and you see there's little like very small tattoos at the corner of each of her eyes, and you see them kind of light up, and you can tell she's looking at this through a detect magic lens, and it's just like, what is babe, have I told you lately that your body is like messed up? Like,
Thanks, I appreciate that.
you have a lot going on here.
Yeah.
This is some kind of like, I don't know that I've ever seen magic like this.
That's not concerning at all.
Yeah, I've never seen either of these.
Okay.
Okay, so have you ever cast this alter self effect sort of normally through your spell casting?
No.
Okay, so you might not know this. So the way this spell is supposed to work is like this. And she like goes like fake dragonborn looking, like scales and claws, and she says, "This is a magical effect. This isn't my normal form, and so to stay in this form, I have to continually sustain it with magic, or," she lets the spell drop, "I snap back to my correct form." What you're doing is not that. You're not taking the way you are and temporarily changing it. This is almost more like a light switch. This is... that's not even the right way to put it. Maybe a better way to... oh, you don't drive. I was going to say it's like a gear shift.
Yeah.
Okay.
If it's a light switch, then which way is on and which way is off?
Okay. I've got to think of a good example of this. Okay. So let me double check my D&D lore here. Oh, nope, that doesn't do what I thought it did. The Dryad lore is a little bit different. Anyway, she comes up with some example of this. But the gist of it is, you're not temporarily adopting a different form and sustaining that through magic. You're using a very small amount of magic to flip into a different form that is also your form.
So I basically just have two natural forms that I switch between.
And that usually doesn't happen. It definitely doesn't happen with Dragonborn.
Hope.
As I say, you're becoming a real boy.
and whatever this is, and she holds up your hand. I don't even know what school of magic this is.
Cool. Us either.
Does it help or make things worse that I got it in the basement of the Raven Palace? I'm going to take that as makes it worse.
She rubs at her glowing eyes. The best I can tell you is that this is some kind of... There are 3 adjectives to describe this. This is old magic. This... It's definitely old. It looks a little bit like divine magic. And it looks a little bit like fey magic, but not actually either of those.
Yeah, that's creepy.
Okay. Enough shop talk. Too many things to process tonight. I'll keep thinking about this. And so instead she diverts you all. What's like the goofy non-magical thing that you all do?
Goofy non-magical thing or sweet non-magical thing?
Well, I mean, just like if you're gonna kill time together, like in a lazy way, what would that be?
During the day, probably walk around the grounds while she's not teaching.
So you all are sort of enjoying a leisurely stroll, and we'll sort of fade away on that. Lexi and Cyrus, anything before you all go to bed?
I say just another night at the bar. Working at my job.
You do see what is his name? I looked this up in the dumbest possible way. There we go. You do see Argus and Archie come in for a drink. Make an insight check.
Six.
They seem
You notice that Caleb's workout plan with Craig is actually going really well. Like it's been like 2 months now. Like Caleb's actually getting some mass. Like
I'm proud of my little skinny boy.
yeah, you remember when he like had trouble, like part of why he started this was he was like having trouble throwing the trash up into the dumpster. Because the bags were so heavy, he was having to do like full body like Olympic hammer throw to get it up into the trash can. And you just caught bits and pieces here. You've not been around quite as much, but you know that Craig has had him on this like high protein diet, and that they've been lifting. And if the bar like, on like a quiet afternoon when there's not a whole lot going on. Caleb has a few dumbbells like tucked away in a corner that he'll just go lift. When they're both working, sometimes Craig will just send him like a whole piece of like grilled chicken or pork chop or something. Just and it's working for him. It's pretty impressive.
So proud of my boy.
Cyrus, you get a text from Alex. It's mostly profanity. No explanation, just lots of profanity, and then a pause, and then the sauna is still adjusting. Send help.
Wait,
Yeah.
isn't Sana staying with me or at Lou's?
She stayed for one night, and
Okay.
then Alex was gonna set her up
Right.
with an apartment like safe house that Mort had,
Right.
which you gather is where this is where Alex has been staying because they don't have a lot of like discernible on paper income. And so there's a lot of like bouncing from safe house to safe house, not because they're in danger, but just because it's a free place to live. Yeah. So
I think Cyrus might like float the like. So hypothetically, how on board would Sana be with getting official paperwork from the Fae?
Another text with explicit profanity.
well, I think you also get like a lot of like the dot 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 erase dot 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 erase dot 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 and then just baby steps. And that is something we'll want to do eventually. Was there was a plan to connect her with the Blackthorns to get her some language lessons to go with her magic, because she can magically offset a little of it, but only for a few hours a day right now. All right. Anything else
then-
for anyone? Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, and then Cyrus will drop contact Gimbal about the agent, and get that ball rolling.
You pull out your wood chips. You pull out your spoiled yogurt. The yogurt is very spoiled. Like, you were already keeping it in a state of spoiled, and you've been gone for a week. It's like fuzzy in places. The wood chips just kind of glorp. And you set it out there along with one of the gold marks and sort of an inscribed message for Gimbal. Go ahead and let's roll an investigation check for Gimbal. And this is going to be moderately important. So we're going to say that Gimbal is... Yeah, actually, that's good. Cyrus, roll your investigation with advantage. And this will be Gimbal's roll.
$27.
All right. Gimbal was a good person to check on here. So Gimbal has access to very different resources than Jace does. And so Gimbal goes to work, and instead of trying to just look at who has gone missing, Gimbal is more intimately aware of places that people can move between the worlds. And a lot of them are accounted for. And so for something like this to be happening, there must be a new gate open somewhere. Or a gate has fallen out of someone else's possession. Because they were all accounted for up to this point, at least unofficially. What Gimbal identifies is so this is a source of immediate confusion. You wake up in the morning, and we'll jump back and catch something else in a second. But in the morning, you have information from Gimbal in the form of a mostly decomposed chipmunk. And the chipmunk relays some information to you. Gimbal thinks that there is a gate that used to be in possession of kind of some low tier thugs. Ironically, they were one of the first like humanoid fae partnership organized crime groups. Sort of the sketchy humans that lived in Little Sylvain before it was Little Sylvain, teaming up with some of the sketchy folks who live on the outskirts of Little Sylvain. But they had brought a portal under their control out in the warehouse district, which was very convenient for moving goods. They don't seem to be in control of it anymore. And you recognize the warehouse.
Same one as the cats?
Yes, indeed. Other information that you get. So you were specifically asking for information on the agent, correct?
Yeah.
So you get back a better picture, and is there an easy way to share a specific picture? Is that popping up for you all?
Yep.
So you all see, well, Cyrus sees, and this is in the form of like, this chipmunk like opens its mouth, and there's like a light down in its jaw, and it like projectors out, and you've got like a little like almost 3-dimensional projection, of this beautiful fey woman, long blonde hair. And you do notice there's some like markings like along her cheeks and sort of the edges of her face. But very much in like the like unearthly fey beauty kind of realm. And so you see that picture, and what's very confusing is that the chipmunk has brought like physically dragged what appears to be a children's book. And it's the story of a little village and a horrible monster. And the monster was hurt and angry and hungry. And the villagers couldn't do anything to stop it. And there's little like cartoonish drawings, like little stick figure villagers with like pitchforks trying to fend off this it looks like a spiky turtle. But there's also pictures where there's like fire coming off of it, and it's like breathing something. And they're trying to sort of fend it off with pitchforks. There's little cartoony like knights who try to like poke at it, and none of it works. And then it goes a couple of pages like the farmers tried, the knights tried, the wizards tried, da 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 da. And it gets along, and then there is a little sort of cartoony depiction of a woman who looks a lot like the picture you just saw. And she has like a golden halo of light behind her. And again, this is like written for children. And it's almost like the pictures there are more pictures than words. And I don't just mean that it's a picture book, but that it's almost like there are additional frames of the story that are only in the pictures. And in one of the frames, you see the same sort of shot of like the creature is sort of charging, and this woman is sort of standing in its way, the same as the farmers and the soldiers and the knights and the wizards. But she puts a hand out and stops the creature. And it seems to be the story of this woman. Somehow she persuades this creature to leave this village alone, and she leaves with the creature. And now we're going to rewind slightly. So you find this in the morning. Before that happens, each of you are in your respective sleeping arrangements. Well, I don't know about Oric. I don't know what Oric's sleeping arrangement is, but that's okay. We're fading to black on that. This is...
He may not be sleeping alone.
Bed of gold.
Bed of gold. Yeah, you've got gold sheets.
I'm using the spell.
Yeah, he actually has a spell for this is for Lexi and Cyrus. Each of you have had visions before. Maybe Lexi more so, to have these sort of dreams. And you don't know it until the morning, but you all have the same dream. It's a dark cityscape, and you see a familiar hole in the middle of an intersection with caution tape and cones and things all scattered around it. And when the dream starts, you just catch sort of out of the corner of your eye something slipping into the sewer underneath. And the point of view sort of sweeps into the sewer, and you're watching the silhouette it's a large hunched humanoid with sort of they're in deep shadow, and they move almost like they have an injured leg. There's a very like plodding and as you are sort of following them from the back, they are backlit by red-orange light coming from something in front of them. And you see them walk down this dark, dark sewer. And there's no visible lights, but you know that they approach the entrance to the Raven Palace. And as they get closer, this red and orange light gets brighter and brighter. And when they get to the door, instead of touching one of the triskel marks, this thing puts a hand out. And by this point, you can see the hand is burning with this orange-red fire. And it starts to char and blacken this magic stone door. And it's almost like the door like peels back in pain. And the creature keeps thudding through the halls. The torches don't come on like they did for you all. It's pitch black. In the distance, you can hear the calling of many ravens. And that calling, and there's a rushing sound of flapping wings, and it gets closer and closer, and this creature continues. And the only light is this red coming off of them. And this rushing of feathers and wings and this calling gets closer and closer. And as they find themselves in a hallway, and they're still behind this creature. And you can see the red light is now washing over the front edge of a dark cloud. And out of the edges of the cloud, there are feathers and wings and beaks, glassy black eyes. But this cloud is sort of swirling, and you know the great raven is swooping through the center of it, and it's about to attack. But just like the door, this creature reaches a hand out, and you can see now it's almost dripping orange-red fire, and it puts a hand out, and the great raven crashes into this hand of fire and is harmed badly. Parts of its wings are charred. It recoils with this horrible sound. And it doesn't just recoil, it's almost like it bursts apart into birds, and they sort of scatter down the hallway. What's left behind on the floor are charred feathers. And this being keeps walking. And finally, the light illuminates this room full of iron bars. And scattered around the floor are bodies. And this creature leans down. And for just a second, you can catch sort of a side angle. And you can see that this creature has one awful, burning, fiery eye. And it looks down at this body. And then it holds its hand out. And this body is cut and burned. There's horrible, like, bludgeoning wounds on it. And parts of it look badly scorched. But this orange-red fire, it's almost like the creature reaches down to its stomach. And when it pulls its hand up, it's dripping orange-red fire. And it drips across the wounds. And the body... And all of the wounds start to flicker. And almost like they're lit from inside with this same orange-red fire now. And there's a second where it's unsteady. And then it starts to take on a consistent glow. Until it looks like there is an orange-red fire burning inside of this, what was a corpse. And now there's orange-red fire leaking out of its wounds. And the body... and when it coughs, there's sparks. And the creature nods. And it walks to the next body. And it repeats the process. And the vision fades out. And Cyrus, before you find Gimbel's information in the morning, you wake up with charred raven feathers scattered around your bed. And Lexi, you find your own bedding charred. And wherever your hand was laying, whether it was sort of on the sheet, whether it was sort of over on the floor, there is a handprint of charred material wherever your hand was resting while you slept.
Man, I set the bed on fire.
And that's where we'll pick up next time.
All right.
So I will find out the internet status for next week and let you all know for sure what the plan is. So I'm going to kill internet.
Recording stopped.
And kill the stream.
Good night, bots.